Peter, by this time, had walked with the Lord a long time, received many corrections, not only by Jesus, but later by others. And he'd learned so much about leadership by the time he was in his 60s, by the time he's an old man. Whether that's really Peter's bones underneath the Vatican or not, doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is the truth that Peter saw. And we are connected to him in his faith, not when we pray at his tomb or walk over his bones. We're connected to him when we internalize his teachings, when we get a glimpse of Jesus through the lens that Peter's life and words and letters provides. Those are the snapshots. And now to the martyrdom. As Jesus had said, when you're older, you'll stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you. And Jesus was indicating the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God, that his arms would be stretched out, that this would not be a natural death. He wasn't going to be dying in bed. And at the heart of this is the challenge to follow me, not to quibble, not to compare, not to think, but what about him, Lord? But to follow him. And so, according to the later apocryphal Acts of Peter, the apostle was crucified upside down in Rome. Is this possible? Well, the Jewish writer of the first century, Josephus, commented that Roman soldiers used to amuse themselves by crucifying persons in various positions, not just the normal position. And so it's quite possible that if he requested to be crucified upside down, that's exactly what happened. In other words, it has the ring of truth, and it fits the picture of history. And so Peter is faithful to the end. What are the lessons for us? I'm going to offer some life observations and some moral lessons as well. Well, moral lesson 1, think before you speak. No further comment. Moral lesson 2, be humble. God, in order to do great things in your life, doesn't require that you always be the top dog. Peter was humble, and he learned that, just as he also learned to serve and to think before he spoke. And so whatever impulsive nature was in him, I'm sure was refined. It was tempered quite a bit. Those are the moral lessons. Life observation. The first one, I think it's very encouraging. People change, especially when they follow Jesus long enough. I mean, Peter really changed. And not just between the time he was first invited to follow the Lord and Pentecost, or between then and his early years of ministry. I mean, even by the end of his life, he's still changing. Life observation 2 is that, well, life is full of corrections. Not to dwell on the negative, but we're all going to be corrected. I get corrected, and I've been a Christian 35 years at this point. We need to accept criticism in humility, not to bristle at it, not to develop immature, resentful attitudes, but to take it on board. And lesson 3, it's still better to step out in faith, even if you do get corrected. Better to step out in faith than to hold back in timidity, for growth comes through daring to act. And so Peter inspires us, just as the Spirit of Christ inspired this great apostle.